Hello, Infoshare. How are you guys doing? Okay, guys, I'm going to talk about depression, so I need your energy. How are you doing today, Infoshare? Good crowd, good crowd. I like it, guys. Okay, so my name is Michał Piosik, and I will start with a rather weird question. Have you ever been so tired and busy that you brushed your teeth while peeing into the sink? Well, I did. And the best part is I genuinely thought there's just nothing wrong about it. I was hustling so hard, then I thought it's a solid time hack. And when you're all about efficiency, you don't even notice when you're caught with your pants down. In this case, quite literally. And, forget about my dignity because, to be honest, this ship has sailed years ago. But when I'm maxing out every second of my life, it makes me tense as fuck. And if I'm not operating at 200%, I'm anxious that some vibe-coding 16-year-old will outperform me. So even though my productivity keeps growing, my joy of work keeps falling. And it's not just me. The productivity of my countrymen has gone up 6 times in the last 30 years. That's crazy high. At the same time, only 8% of us are actually engaged at work. That's crazy low. That is why I think it's absolutely crucial we paused for a minute and ask ourselves if we should be focusing on money and productivity or meaning and purpose. And now we're all like, dude, what pausing? Speed has never been as important as today. On LinkedIn, every day, someone announces an exit, posting insane vacation pics or shredded body on Instagram. Even your mom's best friend's son has genius kids and somehow cooks a homemade truffle pasta every damn night. And you know what your brain does, right? It takes all these photoshopped images and composes a perfect human being. In result, we not compete only with our neighbor, as we did just a few decades ago, but with 8 billion people and this weird hybrid of Elon and Ryan. And now to keep up this ideal of a man, my daily routine looks like this. 8 hours of sleep, as Whoop commanded. Then I meditate with an app, journal my gratitudes, obviously with a mug of specialty coffee, or even better, a mushroom one, because I don't want my anxiety to go through the roof. Because caffeine doesn't go well with my ADHD meds, which, to be honest, are productivity meds. But even if I do get overstimulated, I just pop in an anti-anxiety pill, and we're good to go. I follow this with a fistful of supplements, and fortunately, AG1 turned out to be a scam because that thing tasted like shit. Then, depending if I'm reading Peter Attia or David Goggins, I'm either in longevity mode or training for an Ironman. So, after 3 hours, I can finally sit down to my Pomodoro sliced workday. But I have to be quick, because at 4 p.m., I'm picking up my kids for their extracurricular stuff, because I don't want them to fall behind my mom's best friend's son's geniuses. In the meantime, I need to build relationships, including the romantic ones, and let's not forget about hobbies, vacations, TV series, books. That's a lot, right? And don't get me wrong, these are really, really good habits. But did you ever get this feeling that you ticked every single box except one tiny thing and you feel like a total failure? I know I have. So the question is, isn't this whole setup fucked up? Or more to the point, how did we end up here? Well, the science says that merely a few centuries ago, we were receiving just a handful of signals from the environment each day. Today, however, we are absolutely fire-hosed with information, which creates a million desires and a massive anxiety. But you probably think, well, thanks to this information fire hose, with AI, you can single-handedly build a unicorn. You just gotta move super quick and there's a real shot at it, right? Well, just to make things clear, launching a startup in Poland means that you have a shot at $1 billion valuation in 1 out of 5,000 tries. And a $100 million business in 1 out of 500. And that's only if you make an insane effort. And now Grzegorz, the CEO of Infoshare is like, the fuck, bro? You were supposed to get people fired up, not put out their flame. Quite the opposite. I believe in Polish founder like no one else. And I kind of have to because I have 40 startups in my portfolio. But I think if you're sitting in this room, it means that you are a creme de la creme of Polish entrepreneurs. So your odds are 10 times better than the statistical. All I'm saying is you should take care of yourself and accept a potential failure. It will take the pressure off, and that alone, as research says, will help your odds of winning. Here's an exercise for you. Try and imagine how would you feel as an absolute baller. Really, take a minute now and picture the moment where you made it. Just came back from Maldives, and you're sitting in your penthouse at Olivia Star, where we had our fancy investors party last night. You sit there and think of flying your private jet to Osteria Francescana, the all-time best restaurant in the world. And then what? It's a really important question because science says that your happiness will spike only for a while and then go back to baseline, no matter what you achieved. And then you're back on the treadmill. And I get what you might think. What kind of bullshit argument is this? Imagine eating at the best restaurant in the world versus actually doing this are two completely different things, right? Well, I've been there, and I like it better at my mom's. But hey, I wasn't a billionaire. I wasn't even close to 100 million. But in my early 30s, I exited operationally from my first business. I had a few properties, a cool ride. I spent my winters in Thailand, my summers as being Warsaw's resident party animal, still kind of am. I had a loving wife. Our second kid just arrived. For a guy from a small town, an abusive household, building all this from scratch was a dream come true. Imagine my shock when instead of savoring it all, my brain was thinking about nothing else but killing myself. 50 times a day, I thought all of this is pointless, and I was gazing lustfully at the bridge next to my home. Now, how the hell did I get from all the way up to the bottom? Well, since my teenage years, I was under insane pressure to check every single box on this success list. My nervous system was permanently in fight or flight mode. And then overnight, nothing left to chase. My whole life, I was crossing things off a list. And then when the list ran out, life ceased to have purpose. So what, you ask? We should give up? Stop trying to make a change in the world? Hell no. I think we get only one crack at life and we should fucking crush it. But if you want to avoid my pitfalls, get your priorities straight. Start by asking whether your definition of success is actually yours, not that you got it from your parents or some LinkedIn hustle guru. And what's equally important, make sure they're built around your needs, not desires. I know, kind of the same thing. But needs are things like sense of security or intimacy. Desires, on the other hand, are a great psychedelic trip or a threesome. And trust me, these are all great experiences, but they will give you a quick dopamine hit and then a crash. Not long-term fulfillment. And it's the thing that gives us this long-term fulfillment are the one keeping us from falling off the deep end. Okay, but how do you find them and how do you stick to them? Here's another example. Take a pause and think of 5 most important things in your life. And then rank them by importance. Do something for each of them every day, and you're good as gold. When you're lacking time, just do the most important ones first. What's really interesting is that the things you do won't change much, but how and why you do them. So forget having wife and kids and start building deep relations with them. Don't go after the six-pack, but rather a really healthy body. Resist the temptation of taking a perfect caption from Instagram and just enjoy the experience. And the guilt pile of the books next to your bed, toss them. Read whatever is interesting to you and serves you. And work, not for status or money, but for something bigger than yourself. And believe me, your list will give you a purpose to live by. Operating according to your 5 rocks will keep you going, doesn't matter how hard your day was. But wait, isn't this some kind of TikTok coach bullshit? Is he trying to sell us another book or some cooking pot set? I know that these days every free advice is followed by a course on how to become a millionaire in 2 weeks. No worries, all I want is your attention, because I'm an attention whore. But also, I'm a nerd for scientific fun facts. And sharing what I found and giving you value is part of my purpose. For example, a huge meta-analysis has proven that the aforementioned good relationships lower your risk of early death by 33%. So now you can stop eating that disgusting kale, unless you need it for your fit body. And again, not the Instagram one. I know I sure as hell was chasing it, until I took a health check at a longevity center. To my surprise, they told me when I look like this, as I told you, I'm an attention whore, that my cells don't regenerate properly and my mitochondria are failing. So, but fortunately, I can fix my cells by eating a slice of pizza. Unlike my dopamine system, because my brain's reward mechanisms are completely fried by social media and booze and drugs, but I don't do them anymore, so it's good. And I know I keep bashing them, but scrolling through the gorgeous beaches, mouth-watering food, and beautiful people is literally getting you depressed. I'm dead serious. These platforms are deliberately engineered using the same neurological hooks as slot machines and cocaine. Listen to this. Tech billionaires' children are banned from using social media. Crazy, right? I mean, even drug lords allow their own kids to try the product once in a while, right? And not without the reason. Social media are more addictive than most of the substances known to humankind. Why is this still legal? It blows my mind. But not as much as the next one. Did you know that if we don't tap into our potential at work, if we're not growing, we're 10 times more likely to look for another job? I know because I've been job hunting my entire life. I've lost count of all the business ideas I've never actually launched. But just to give you a few examples of the gigs I had. I started small, picking up cherries at my grandpa's, selling them by the road, or dealing clothes at the bazaar. Afterwards, I got certified as a lifeguard. Then I got the money bug and took a job at a currency exchange. That interest took me to an economics degree. So I took a job at the bank, the most soul-crushing place on earth. Slightly less grim was a strategy consulting gig, but I quickly quit because all-nighters weren't my thing, at least not at work. Funny thing though, running my own business wasn't any different. I built a chain of cooking schools, had a few restaurants, mentored others how to run a good business, and learned myself how to waste money on the bad ones. I did a few guest lectures at my alma mater, Warsaw School of Economics. In the meantime, I tried to retire a bit, but as I said before, I just got more depressed. Fortunately, talking about it from the stage is much more fun. As you can see, I'm having fun. Almost as fun as throwing Poland's biggest club parties marathon. Trust me, all these endeavors looked great on paper. They paid well, they made you look smart or desirable, but after a while, every single one of them stopped doing it for me. And I felt less and less meaning in my life. And it's exactly the sense of meaning that changes everything. I'm gonna let you know on a little secret. I'm agnostic. So I don't know if there's a grand designer up there keeping the score for me. So I live my entire life focused on my goals. But the moment I stopped chasing my ambitions and shifted focus to being useful to others, that totally changed the game. It was like a spiritual awakening. I felt anxiety-free for the first time in years, and that's one of the things that helped me get out from a suicidal depression. So what does this meaningful work look like in practice, especially to someone who claims they've done it all? Well, I'm not gonna lie, I got incredibly lucky. I found a space where I get to use all the skills and assets I built over the years. And most crucially, where I use all the 5 pillars of my life. That is how Troska emerged, which loosely translates to care. It's an initiative that donates 100% of profits to mental health foundations. I know what you're thinking. Dude, is this your big idea? Another foundation that shows sad faces on TV? Nah. We approach this mental, sorry, we approach mental health the same way as we approach any other business. Because a market with 4 billion million customers in Poland alone is a hefty one. We map the biggest pains which are addressed poorly or not at all. For example, mental health prevention in Poland basically doesn't exist because most of us don't realize they are depressed until they're in a really, really bad place. It's because we misinterpret joyful demeanor for a healthy mind. But even if we go and see a doctor before it's too late, there aren't enough tools to help people fight this bitch. So what we want to do is tell the stories of people who are famous or normal people who on the surface seem happy but endured a nightmare. We want to focus on the tools that they use to recover. And those tools we shall provide. We're prototyping an app which will actually help people work through the crisis and prevent them from falling into depression. That is its only purpose, not making money or keeping them in front of the screen as long as possible. Quite the contrary. One of the features is to keep them offline by re-socializing them in an increasingly lonely society. And not in a creepy way like Tinder, but just like we did for 40,000 people last year alone in Too Old for Techno parties. If you guys want a ticket, just write me on LinkedIn. I'll be glad to send you one. 12 cities in Poland and growing. We're building a social movement here where people can look out for themselves and for one another. They can show it by wearing merch, which in a funny way says, hey, I'm taking care of my mental health and people around me. So I get back to selling clothes at the bazaar. And again, every dime goes to mental health foundations. And the best part is, even if the whole thing implodes, I will be okay, because this job gives me an unbreakable sense of meaning. And look, I get it. Listening to a guy who does everything right, saying the work should be about meaning and not money, is like getting dating advice from a celebrity. So I'm just going to give you some context of just how much everything works out for me. And I guarantee it's the same for all the people you envy. Half of my businesses are spectacular failures. 3 out of 4 in my startup investments will never return a single cent. Every single day, I take losses. And there was a time where even the smallest of setbacks would knock me down. But today, even if I lose half of my assets in a single day, which, by the way, literally happened last year, this is a real screen from my training platform from last year. So even if that happens, I tell myself, it's okay. As long as I'm not dead, I can crawl it back, all back. It's because I know exactly what fires me up. And I know I keep circling back to meaning. And it's not just because meaningless work kills your output. Today we're on the verge of a massive disruption. AI will wire up a lot of jobs fast, like most of what translators are doing. Imagine spending half of your life learning the skill and then the other half doing it, and then overnight you're obsolete. Losing your job isn't only about losing your income. It strips you down of your identity. How on earth do you overcome that? Again, start thinking about your work not in terms of what you do, but why and how. What value to bring to your clients, to the world, and crucially, to yourself. I want you to fall in love in that process. Charles Bukowski once said, find what you love and let it kill you. I know he meant drugs and sex. But my dream is to be slowly killed doing good until I'm 90. And I'd like you guys to try and do the same thing. And normally, I would end here and take the well-deserved applause. Yes, that's the enthusiasm I was hoping for. But I'm on a mission here. Please donate anything you can to this foundation. It's not for me. I'm raising money for them. Every 50 zloty changes the life of one kid. So whatever your job is great. Now, and if you guys have any skill you can donate to foundation, just write me up on LinkedIn as well. I want to leave you with one thing. I know you can't live without money, and we need to stay productive to keep up. But promise me this, you'll try and find your purpose. I know it will take time, but please pause in this ever-ending pursuit for a minute and just look for a meaning. And above all, be good to yourself and to other people. That's where the real fulfillment lives. Thank you for your attention. and take care.